Welcome to the CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, founder of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. In today's episode, we're diving into some important developments in the world of cybersecurity and what you as a customer need to know now to keep your data safe. We'll break down a recent Gmail hacking attempt that could potentially lock you out of your own account, something you definitely need to be aware of. We'll also take a closer look at a series of cyber attacks in the United Kingdom targeting major retailers like Marks & Spencer, Co-op, and Harrods. We'll unpack what happened, why it matters, and most importantly, what steps you can take to protect yourself moving forward. Joining me today is my United Kingdom consumer panelist, Sara Russell, who has joined us on many BizCast episodes over the course of BizCast's run, and we are excited to have her back once again to discuss this as a resident of the United Kingdom. Welcome back, Sara. It's great to have you again.
Hello, Christian and your listeners. It's wonderful to be back and hopefully give some helpful information to your listeners.
Yes, we have a lot to cover. We have a lot of information to share with our listeners, and I want to mention that even though the cyber attack related to Marks & Spencer's, Co-op, and Harrods only affects people in the UK, all of our listeners worldwide can still benefit should a similar cyber attack occur at a retailer in their own country. So all the tips we're going to share is universal. First, I would like to cover the Gmail phishing attempt. You shared this with me a few weeks ago and informed me about it, as I otherwise didn't know anything about it. And I want to say thank you for sharing this very important information, because there are a lot of users out there using Gmail. As of 2025, Gmail has over 1.8 billion active users worldwide. That is a lot of people. That means 1.8 billion users were at risk of potentially falling for this Gmail phishing attempt, which I'm about to cover. Let's dive right into that. So, all Gmail users have been warned to take steps to secure their accounts after this hacking attempt. These cyber criminals are pushing out emails that look legitimate, and it asks users to follow a link to take action. Now, what does the email say exactly? The email says, a subpoena was served on Google LLC requiring us to produce a copy of your Google account content. And then it has a reference number, and it says it was transferred to the legal investigation support. It gives a link that says Google support case, and it gives a long link, as well as with a Google account ID. And then it says, this notice is to alert you that a subpoena was issued to Google LLC by a law enforcement that seeks retrieval of information contained in your Google account. To examine the case materials or take measures to submit a protest, please do so in the provided Google support case. Now, one thing I want to mention is the small grammatical error. It says, this notice is to alert you that a subpoena was issued to Google LLC by a law enforcement. There should be no A in this case. So anytime you see grammatical errors, it's already fake to begin with. But here's the clincher. Here's what keeps this email from looking fake, even if you know how to spot a scam email. The email that it comes from is no-reply@accounts.google.com. This email did not come from Google. Somehow this attacker was able to find a way to spoof an actual Google address. This is what makes it so believable. A lot of people will be tempted to click on this link, especially with the urgency that it conveys. It sounds like that you have to take action right now or you are subject to intervention from law enforcement. And of course, this will scare people into thinking that they're probably going to end up in jail for something that they don't even know why. Now, the link that's provided on this email actually leads to a login page that looks legitimate. However, it actually isn't. It was a form set up by a hacker to steal information, to steal your Gmail login information and lock you out of your account. This is not real. They spoofed the email. It looks real because it says it's from Google, but in reality, it's not. And unfortunately, because it uses a Google email address, because it comes from accounts.google.com, Google's security system didn't even flag the email. And Gmail's security system is usually pretty good at spotting these emails and sending them to spam or warning the users that they are indeed dangerous to open. But because it was spoofed, they did not pick this up, and as a result, it made it through the filters. It's important to remember that Google will never ask for users' account credentials to sign in, and they will not call you. A spokesperson for Google has said, and quote, we're aware of this class of targeted attack from this threat actor and have rolled out protections to shut down this avenue for abuse. In the meantime, we encourage users to adopt two-factor authentication and passkeys, which provide strong protection against these kinds of phishing campaigns. So, in general, if you get an email saying that your account is being subpoenaed and you're subject to being investigated by law enforcement, chances are it is fake. So So let's discuss this. So, Sarah, how do you feel about this? Have you received this email yourself personally? You've sent me an article from Metro explaining the details of this attack, and I otherwise didn't know anything about it. So let's discuss this.
Yeah, I received it in my email as well. It flagged up as useful information, so I thought I'd pass it on. But I mean, I didn't get it personally as such. I got it through another channel and then got it sent to myself. So
How did you react? What was the first thing you were thinking?
I was thinking, oh crikey, this is a big problem because of the amount of users, as you said. And obviously it's all over the world. People use Gmail and that. So it's pretty scary when you think that these things come through, but you know yourself about the spoofing of the emails and stuff. So we know about that anyway, but your average person wouldn't. They would think it was real. Just to look at it, you'd think it was a real email address and everything else. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that there's so many clever people out there that do bad things. It's just a shame they don't do good things instead.
Yeah, it's a shame. Too many people out there. They're always trying to dishonestly obtain other things from other people, whether it be money or personal information or all sorts of things. And the problem with this particular Gmail attack is that it looks too real. Now, you and me, we've been following scam baiting for a long time, especially from Trilogy Media, and that's where we met through one of their live streams. We've learned exactly how to spot these types of phishing emails. Whenever we get an email and it looks too good to be true, we've learned to check the header to see where it came from. And if it comes from an email address that's really cryptic or looks really strange, or it didn't come from who they're pretending to be, for example, if somebody's pretending to be Microsoft, but the email address says something at gmail.com, that right there tells you it's not real, and you can write it off as a scam and you can send it to spam. But this one particular email actually spoofs a Google email address. This just makes it look more legitimate. So if anything, this just adds another layer of uncertainty, because now every time we get emails, regardless of who they're from, now we're going to have to question every single one of them because we're not going to know if it's real or not. If scammers are learning how to spoof email addresses like they know how to do now currently with phone numbers, it's only going to make things harder on us consumers. Now we're going to have to question everything that comes in. We're going to have to call these companies every time to make sure it's real, regardless of where it says it came from, because this is pretty scary now that hackers and scammers know how to change their email address to make it look like that it comes from a legit source.
I know, it's pretty scary, isn't it? Because all of your proper emails now, anything you get from Google or anything at all from any, even the government, like over here, you have to think, because they're spoofing government emails, you're going to have to do your research first. So you're going to have to go into your header first, go into title. If there's a .gmail or there's numbers and letters, which shouldn't be there. I mean, an official site like HMRC over here would have government.co.uk like that, but it'd have it as it's properly spelled out. The scammers can change it so that perhaps the UK is capitals at the end, or it might have a .uk or UK dot. It could only be something just totally slightly not right, and then that is totally spoofed. So you don't know yourself. I mean, we can fall for it. I mean, even though we know what we're looking at, you're thinking, is it real? Is it fake? Let's do a bit of research. Then you do your research. I always write the email address down that's been sent, and then I'll put it into Google and say, is this a real email address? Sometimes it will take you to a real page, and then you think, oh, it's real. But then you look and you think, actually, that's not real, because the spelling and some of the descriptions, the grammar is wrong, and it's not official. Whereas if it's an official website, you just need to put it in and you go straight there, and you can see at the top you've got your padlock, and then you've got your HTTPS, and then you've got your proper email going across there. But yeah, it's easy to fall in the trap, and there's so many out there, and they are getting better and better each year, and harder to find the true emails and the fake ones.
Unfortunately, it is getting harder and harder, and it's hard to look up if an email address is real or not now if they're actually spoofing actual legit email addresses. And it's also important to remember, not only should you check the email addresses, but also look at the content of the email itself. Notice how they might use a fake or cheap looking version of the actual logo, or maybe the logo's not mentioned at all. You see a bunch of bright colors, and also the overuse of emojis, especially in the subject line. These are also indicators of a scam email. These are all some other little things to look at. So what Google recommends doing in the case of this phishing attack that's impersonating themselves, they recommend that users turn on two-factor authentication, because if they turn it on and they attempt to steal your information, they won't be able to get any further, because it's going to require you to verify that it's you signing in or working with your account on your phone. They'll send you a notification asking, is this you trying to sign in? And you say yes. The hacker won't have any access to your phone, so therefore they will not be able to get past that. That is the main avenue of protecting your account. Turn on two-factor authentication. If anybody tries to log in, even if they have your password, they will not be able to change it or go any further, because it requires verification on your part through your device, which they do not have access to. And Google is advising all users to set up the password alert, which can prevent Gmail and YouTube user information from getting into the wrong hands. When you have the password alert turned on within Google Chrome, users will automatically get alerts whenever their Google password is used to sign into other sites. They'll get notifications. So utilize these tools. It'll save your account in the long run.
Yeah, I find the two-factor verification is really, really good, because I've got that with my email, because it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Now let's talk about another major issue that has shaken up the cybersecurity world. This one is related to the cyber attack in the United Kingdom related to Marks and Spencer's, Co-op, and Harrods. These three chains were affected by an unknown group called Dragon Force, which we're going to discuss in detail. According to this article from BBC News, they cover exactly what happened. I'm going to read the first few paragraphs of the article to give everybody an idea of what happened. So the article states, the hackers behind a cyber attack on Marks and Spencer managed to gain entry through a third party who had access to its systems. The cyber attack, which happened in April, has caused millions of pounds of lost sales for Marks and Spencer and left it struggling to get services back to normal, with online orders paused for more than 3 weeks. The supermarket declined to comment on the nature of the breach or these new details, saying, quote, availability is now in a much more normal place with stores well stocked this weekend. Dragon Force, the name the criminals are using, previously told the BBC it was behind the attack and was also responsible for hacking the Co-op and attempted attack on Harrods. They also attempted to attack these other two chains as well, as I mentioned. This sounds like a very dangerous cyber criminal group. But continuing on with the article, it states that Marks and Spencer will announce its annual results on Wednesday, but the focus will all be on the devastating attack and its financial impact. Bank of America analysts believe Marks and Spencer has lost more than £40 million of sales every week since the incident began over the Easter bank holiday weekend. It was announced on April 25th that it had stopped taking online orders. Some stores were left with empty food shelves after the firm had to take some food-related systems offline. On a precautionary basis, Marks and Spencer decided to close down many of its IT operations following the attack, effectively locking itself out of its core systems as it grappled to deal with the attack. The biggest challenge is getting its online system fully operational again, which accounts for around a third of its clothing and homeware sales. Marks and Spencer told the BBC, quote, our stores have remained open and availability is now in a much more normal place with stores well stocked this weekend. So that article sums up what happened, and it really did affect them to the point that they had to stop taking sales online. Now, Sarah, last summer, you and me did an episode talking about a major cyber attack that happened in the UK that brought down Sky News. It took the network right off the air, and similarly, we also discussed a major cyber attack that affected a major hospital system over there that stole lots of sensitive patient information. As a resident of the UK, how have all these cyber attacks affected you personally? How has it affected your vigilance, and were you affected in any way?
Yeah, well, Christian, the Harrods one didn't really affect me at all, thankfully, or the Co-op one, but unfortunately Marks and Spencer's one, they had all my details because I've made purchases in the past. Therefore, on one of the lists that was stolen by the group, which you mentioned, Dragon Force, and also called Scattered Spider, who are part of the Dragon group. Yes, so they took my details. They didn't take card details or anything like that, but they did take names, addresses, and all your major details, which isn't very clever, to be honest. Makes you a little bit wary of any emails I'm going to get now, because all that information, that personal information, is now leaked and it's out there floating somewhere. So everybody who's impacted by the cyber attack will find their details. I mean, you're going to get random emails from these people. You're going to get things from like from scammers, as we know. They're going to say, well, they want so many bitcoins for this, or they want this for this, or they'll try and threaten you saying, we're looking at your computer and all this sort of thing to try and scare you into getting money. But the fact that they've got your name, your address, and some of your personal details is not reassuring, to be honest. It makes you a little bit scared to think, well, what are they going to do with that information? It's bad enough they have your name to start with, because with a name they can do anything, but for them to have your address as well and any other information, personal information that was leaked out, we really don't know. But I received a personal email from Marks and Spencer's to say, unfortunately, I got that because I was on the list. I sort of got my name and everything was leaked out along with many other people. So, yeah, it's a bit scary knowing that, to be honest, Christian. Very scary.
And it's even scarier based on what I mentioned earlier, the fact that we have to be extra vigilant now, and being vigilant has become a little bit harder since hackers have become more sophisticated in their attempts. So now that they know how to spoof email addresses, we're going to have to question everything that comes in. It's just getting much more sickening as time goes on. In a follow-up article from the BBC, which you've also provided to me, they say specifically, quote, the retailer said on May 13th that some personal customer data was stolen in the cyber attack, which could include names, date of birth, phone numbers, home addresses, email addresses, household information, and online order histories. It added that any card information taken would not be usable as it does not hold full card payment details on its systems. So, that last sentence, Marks and Spencer's did the right thing by making sure that card numbers are masked, because that ensures that, at the bare minimum, these people who are effective don't have to worry about their credit card information getting stolen and having their accounts drained. Other retailers, especially retailers here in the US, need to adopt that strategy. Mask your customers' card information. Make sure that nobody has access to see the full card numbers, the expirations or CVVs, not even your own employees, because I've got to be honest here, employee theft is another problem. I've heard of many cases where customers' information was stolen by the store's very own employees. It's not just hackers and scammers. Even the people we're supposed to trust with this information do not have good intentions and will stab their customers right in the back by stealing their card information.
Yeah, that's really scary, that is. Yeah, definitely. To know that you're working with people who actually are going to steal your data. Not good.
Speaking of that, I just want to say on a side note, for all the business owners out there and employers, make sure that you have a good loss prevention system in place, because I've heard of many stories where employers not only steal data from their customers, but they've also stolen money or company assets from their very own employer. Not everybody can be trusted, so a good loss prevention system will ensure that assets are monitored wisely and you're able to pinpoint the source of any thefts that occur. Now, going back to the issue with Marks and Spencer's, their troubles are not over yet. In fact, because of this cyber attack, the CEO faces a multi-million-pound pay hit due to this fiasco. This other article that you provide me describes that in more detail. To quote the article, the first paragraph states that Marks and Spencer CEO Stuart Machin is set to face a significant pay reduction on top of £1.1 million following a cyber attack that has severely impacted the retailer's operations and stock value. Things like this can also affect stock value, but continuing on with the article, quote, the ongoing cyber attack, which was disclosed on April 22nd, has driven a 14% drop in Marks and Spencer's share price, translating to a loss of approximately £831,000 from Matching's performance share plan and £233,000 from a deferred bonus, both of which are set to pay out in July. The attack has led to a series of operational disruptions, including issues with online ordering and in-stock availability. The combined hit to Matching's compensation could reach up to £2.4 million, as he is also facing paper losses on shares held through long-term incentive plans. The cyber attack, which is believed to have compromised both personal and staff data, has left Marks and Spencer unable to accept online orders for over 3 weeks. This disruption has caused significant revenue losses, with analysts estimating that Marks & Spencer could have lost over £75 million in sales so far, and this figure could rise to £125 million if online operations are not restored soon. So this article was written during the time when online service was suspended as a precaution, and they were already projecting how much they could lose if they did not restore their e-commerce capabilities. So, as the old saying goes, time is money. Every day that they have to keep their website closed out of precautionary measures, they are losing tons of money. Anytime a corporation takes major losses, who else gets affected? Their shareholders. And then it gets to the point to where shareholders just don't want to wait anymore, and they're just going to sell their shares back to the company. It's just going to create a bigger dent into their overall financial performance. And as we continue on, the next article from the BBC describes exactly what happened with these sales. Let's take a look into this article. It's titled, "What do the Marks & Spencer's, Co-op, and Harrods cyber attacks mean for UK retailers?" So it starts off with Clive Black, a retail analyst at Shore Capital, explaining that online sales have suffered greatly. The disruption has cost Marks & Spencer's hundreds of millions in potential sales, and the full impact may not be clear until the next financial year. So, despite the financial setbacks, Marks & Spencer remains optimistic about its performance for the year to March 31st as the attack occurred after the company's financial year ended. The retailer is expected to report a strong annual profit, but the future of Machin's pay package may be subject to further scrutiny, depending on the long-term consequences of the cyber attack. I'm going to continue on with the article further down, skip over some unnecessary details, and then they state that Marks & Spencer's has not only suffered from lost sales, but is also grappling with the higher cost of dealing with the cyber attack. The company has also had to rely on external advisors to help restore its systems, further inflating operational expenses. Although the retailer is set to claim up to £100 million from its cyber insurance policy, analysts remain cautious, believing this payout may not fully cover the extent to the damage. Kate Calvert, an analyst at Investec, noted, quote, "While the management team has focused on managing the immediate fallout, the city will be closely watching the longer-term impact on Marks & Spencer's transformation plans." The hackers went undetected in Marks & Spencer's systems for up to 52 hours before the devastating cyber attack was finally uncovered, insiders have revealed. And just as you said, Sarah, it was believed to have been from the Scattered Spider Group, who had allegedly utilized a contractor to access the retailer's advanced IT systems. Now, 3 weeks on, the crisis continues to plague a British high street staple, with staff working up to 24 hours a day and enduring sleepless nights to fix it. So an anonymous source had said that it was caused by a human error that led to a colossal mistake. With hackers having worked undetected for more than 2 days, crisis teams battled tirelessly to protect the beloved British store, frequented by up to 9.4 million active customers throughout the 5-day attack phase. Admitting that criminals were able to obtain mass payment card details used for online purchases, typically a card's last 4 digits, other bits of possible stolen data could include all of the other information that we mentioned earlier: names, addresses, household information, dates of birth. As a result, a lot of people were probably unsure of what to do, right, Sarah? They probably didn't know exactly what they had to do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do? There isn't much you can do. I mean, the site was down anyway, so they couldn't do any orders online at all from anything in the store. You couldn't even purchase anything online. And the clothes bit for Marks and Spencer's to buy clothes online is shut for another 4 to 6 weeks while they still try and sort that out. So it's not fully up and running yet. It's going to be between 4 and 6 weeks before they sort that out anyway. And I have a timeline for everything if it's any information to everyone. Timeline for the UK retail cyber attacks in 2025. 22nd of April 2025, a cyber attack at M&S has caused significant disruption to customers, leaving them unable to make contactless payments or use click and collect services. 24th of April, Marks and Spencer's is still unable to provide contactless payment or click and collect services amid a cyber attack that says force it to move to a number of processes offline to safeguard its customers, staff and businesses. 25th of April, Marks and Spencer shuts down online sales as it works to contain and mitigate a severe cyber attack on its systems. 29th of April, the infamous Scattered Spider Hacking Collective may have been behind the ongoing cyber attack on Marks and Spencer's that has crippled the systems and the retailer and left its e-commerce operation in disarray. 30th of April, a developing cyber incident at the Co-op has forced the retailer to pull a plug on some of its IT systems as it works to contain the attack. 1st of May, the Co-op tells staff to stop using their VPNs and be wary that their communication channels may be monitored as a cyber attack on the organisation continues to develop. So this is going to be going on for quite a while yet. The three major retail chains, Harrods, Marks and Spencer and the Co-op, this is going to be going on for quite a few months. I guarantee it, because it's such a big infiltration. And now all of the stores, any retail store is now trying to up their security, but no security is safe, as we know. You try your best. You have all the VPNs, you have all the antivirus and the scans you do and everything. And it isn't always working, not when it's a massive multi-million pound company. The tech is just not there because the scammers and the hackers are clever. They're clever, as we know. They're super clever. And these people should be, if they turned their jobs around and become good people on the good side, what a world we'd live in. It would be absolutely marvellous. You'd have no scammer crime. You wouldn't have anything like that. You'd have quite a bustling world, I would think, of business and commerce. But as they're on the bad side and they're dark criminals, you got no chance. No, it's never good when some scammers, sort of like the hackers, the cyber scammers, they think they're gods, and it's just not right.
Yeah, it's not right to have that type of mindset. When it comes to data protection, you're right. See, the customers can protect all their data. They can have VPNs and all sorts of other measures in place. It's good, when the front end of things is protected. But the company also needs to have some strict security measures on their end as well, the back end. What we can learn from these attacks, we can safely assume that Marks and Spencer's was not on top of their game in terms of their cybersecurity. Marks and Spencer's, Co-op, and Harrods, they could have done better. Everybody can do better. Nobody's completely secure. We've had many similar cyber attacks here in the US. For example, back in 2014, there was a cyber attack on Target, where many of Target's customers got their credit card information stolen. There was also a similar one related to Cici's Pizza, a buffet chain that specializes in pizza and pasta, very popular here in the US. Similar attack. Many of their customers got their debit card and credit card information stolen due to being compromised. It shows that even the biggest names in the corporate world are not on their game when it comes to cybersecurity, and that's why, unfortunately, Dragon Force was able to hack these three major British retailers. The customer may have done everything they could to protect themselves, but did the company do everything they could to protect their customers' information? Unfortunately, the answer was no. If the answer was yes, this wouldn't have happened. Now, you shared with me a copy of the email that every Marks and Spencer customer who was affected received. And in the email, it specifically asks the question, how does this affect me and what should I do? Referring to the cyber attack. And it says, quote, you do not need to take any action, but you might receive emails, calls, or texts claiming to be from Marks and Spencer when they are not. So do be cautious. Remember that we will never contact you and ask you to provide us with personal account information like usernames, and we will never ask you to give us your password. And then it also says to give you an extra peace of mind, next time you visit or log in to your mns.com account or on our website or app, you will be prompted to reset your password. So my advice to anybody out there is, as soon as you know that you are a victim of a cyber attack, don't wait. Act immediately. Even if the company is telling you that your data is safe, just give yourself that extra layer of insurance, reset your password, reset your login details, and I would even go as far as getting your card numbers changed. Call your bank and get a new card issued, just to be extra safe. And always monitor your bank accounts. Make sure that you don't see any unauthorized transactions or money missing from your accounts that you know for sure you did not give to anybody. A lot lot of people often neglect to do this, and as a result, sometimes they won't know until it's too late that their information was stolen. Every bank just about is FDIC insured, meaning that if your money was stolen, you should be able to get your money back, but of course there are certain criteria that have to be met first before the bank will give you your money back. So the best thing to do is avoid the headache altogether and make sure that you are following good cybersecurity practices. Change your passwords every so often too. Don't use passwords that are easy to guess. Now, a lot of people like to use plain words that are easy to remember out of the sake of making sure that they can sign into their accounts easily, but in reality, you should not do this. In fact, cybersecurity experts recommend that you use hard to remember cryptic passwords because they are harder for hackers to crack. Hackers do have illegal programs that are used to hack into systems and break into passwords where they can uncover them, and they're easier to uncover when they are plain English words. So even though you may not like the fact that you may not be able to remember this password when it comes to sign in later, in the end, having an impossible to remember password will actually save your data in the long run. This is especially true if these online accounts are related to banking, online shopping, or anything else that involves extremely sensitive information that could be abused if left in the wrong hands.
Yeah, that's great advice, Christian. Great advice.
Now, Sarah, what have you done in terms of ensuring that your data is safe? Not just related to the Marks and Spencer attack, but in general, what practices have you engaged in that you can recommend to all our listeners, just in case they ever get affected, and even if they are not a victim of a cybersecurity attack, just some important safeguards that they can partake of, just in case something like this happens. That way they can sleep easy at night, because remember, it could be very costly to have to go through the restoration process. Even as a corporation, Marks and Spencer's is spending loads of money just trying to get back on their feet. But customers could also end up having to spend lots of money too, depending on what they have to go through just to be normal again.
That's it, yeah. No, that's true. No, what I did personally is I went into my account. First of all, I changed my password. That's what I do, change my passwords. I managed to get in my account, and because some sites, not Marks and Spencer's, I didn't do it on there, but some sites, people have their card already loaded, their credit card or their debit card, whatever card they've got already saved on that website. Unsave it. Do not save your card to any shopping website like that at all. Just don't save it. It'll ask you to save it. Don't save it. Go in, take it off, remove that card so that all your details on there are just basic details. You haven't got card details because they ask you to save your card with the card number, and they've got your card number, they've got the 3-digit number, then you've got your expiry dates and everything, the name on the card, they've got all that. But if you delete all that information, don't keep that information on your account. Like your Marks and Spencer's or your Co-op or your Harrods or any online supermarket or a retailer. Do not leave your card details on there. Just remove the card because, chances are that card expires anyway. So, and you'll get a new one with a different number. So you'd have to put that one in when you went in anyway. So it wouldn't really matter. It's only some sites, I think like Amazon, they do like you to have a card listed on their account, but it's so hard to get into. Anyway, mine, I've got the 2-step verification on my Amazon account. So I've got my card on there, but I've got a credit card on there, so it doesn't really matter. It isn't one that scammers can get money from. Just means they can pay with it on that. But then I'm covered because if they do that and do get into my account, I can claim that money back because it's done on credit card and not debit card. If you do it on debit card, it's harder to get your money back here in the UK. But if you do it on a credit card, the bank can get your money back far easier because you've got a massive protection on your money, on the whatever you buy. So if, say, their store goes bust, you do actually get your money back because even if their store can't do that, the bank will claim for that money for you and you can get it back. But yeah, recommendation, change your password like Christian said, but don't leave your card saved on any site that you're on, like retail, when you do your online sales. As I say, Amazon, they require you to do that. So I have got mine on there, but I've got a 2-step verification and I've got a password as well, which I change. So it would be quite hard for them to get in there like that. So yeah, so that's my advice. Just remove any card details. You've got any saved cards, take them off. Don't leave them on there. And just when you want to go on that site, put the card details in there and then, as you're buying your products, and then take take the card off. Same with a lot of people, they have their card loaded on their phone. I don't personally think that's a great idea either. There's so many people who have got it on their phone, like Google Pay and, or Apple Pay, and they go to their store or whatever, and you see them, they put their phone on the thing. It's like, really? You have got your whole life in your phone. Someone steals that phone. They have got all your details. They have got your credit cards. They've got your debit cards. They've got all the information to scam you and just steal all your money and got all your details. Because people use their phone as their right arm. No, you need to stop doing that. You need to get back to having an actual card, not on your phone. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. Just get back to the old-fashioned card. But don't store anything, any card details online, not the retail, not if you're shopping anyway.
Yes, that's right. Try not to save your card details if you don't have to. And I would like to also conclude with a few other basic tips, which I have shared before in other episodes, but will continue to share regardless. So first, if you are a business owner, make sure your website has SSL on it. This basically means that it shows HTTPS in the URL and there is a padlock next to it. Secondly, make sure all of your point of sale systems are PCI compliant. This basically means that you are handling credit card information in a secure manner. There are certain guidelines that you have to follow in order to be PCI compliant, and your point of sale systems vendors will be able to provide you more information on this. You'll want to make sure you're handling this information properly. Now, if you are a consumer, make sure that you have a VPN on your device, on your computer or your phone. Make sure you have a VPN. This is still going to help you regardless. It'll mask your IP address. It'll keep hackers out. If they try to hack you, they'll just end up getting a virtual firewall instead. Make sure that whenever anybody asks you for card information, it is done in a secure manner. Never give your card information out through an email or a text message, and this violates PCI standards if you do this. Business owners, never ask customers for their card information this way. Now, if you're doing it over the phone, make sure that it is not being stored in any way. And also, when it comes to protecting yourself online, do not use the same password for all your logins, because if they steal a password for one of your websites and you happen to use that password on several others, then hackers are going to try to use that password on several other websites that you might be registered on, and guess what? They'll be able to get in just like that. So it is important to use a different password for every website. And again, going back to what I said earlier, as painful as it may be, don't use plain English words like Apple 3426 as your password, something like that. Use something that is cryptic. If you are creating an account on a website and you're using Firefox, on the password box where it asks you to create a password, you can right click and it'll have an option where you can generate a password, and it'll generate a nice secure one. It'll usually be a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers and symbols, and it'll be a nice long string that's impossible to remember. Guess what? Firefox will ask you if you want to remember this password, so you don't even have to remember it anymore. So that removes the headache of having to remember an impossible to remember password. So I'm just saying, using cryptic passwords that are hard to guess will save your bacon in the long run. You don't have to worry about people trying to crack those with these illegal programs I mentioned earlier. So engage in good cybersecurity practices and your information will be okay. As we said earlier, you can do your absolute best to make sure that you are secure on your end, but on the back end, on the company's end, it's also their responsibility to make sure that they are processing your information correctly. And they should also remember that there's not only financial repercussions, but also legal repercussions as well. If you don't want to get sued, make sure your security systems are top notch, because it could end up being very costly on a legal sense as well. That's my 2 cents on the matter. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this episode. Thank you once again, Sara, for being with us and sharing all this wonderful information with us and giving us your insight as someone who was also affected by the attack. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners before we close out?
No, I think we've said it all, Christian. Just everyone, thank you for watching. Stay vigilant. Thanks for having me on the show, Christian, as usual.
Yes, Sara, it was a pleasure to have you on the show again. It's been a while since we taped an episode. All the material you provided to us was great. So thank you for listening to the CDG BizCast. Stay safe out there, don't get scammed, and protect all of your personal information like there's no tomorrow.